Yo, shout out to Aaron and the whole team in Propelify. You guys are killing it. This is so amazing, and I feel blessed to be here. I really do. Looking back after being an entrepreneur for 13 years, I never thought that I would be on stage, being able to share my story, helping to inspire, and it's a blessing. So thank you, God, as well. So I feel like it's almost like a TED Talk or something, because I got like 10 minutes. So I figured I would kind of give you guys a little bit of history, go over about 3 stages of my life of adversity, obstacles, as many of us know as entrepreneurs, that helped shape me, and that ended up leading me to adapting, pivoting, and starting my company, Elite Daily, which last year we were lucky enough to get acquired, and then why pretty much at this point in my life, as much as I cherish it, it really means nothing to me. What I do today, what I do tomorrow, thinking about legacy, that is really what I want to kind of dive into. So I grew up in a town, Belleville, not too far from here, Essex County. My family grew up out of Newark. And, growing up, I really wasn't the smartest kid. I wasn't a book smart type kid. I was typically a young hustler, very charismatic. I didn't grow up with a smartphone, so I had to make friends with all the kids around the block. Got into a lot of trouble and definitely could have ended up taking the wrong path. But my parents really told me that you have to get a good education, that was like the most important. That was the way to get on the path to success. And not being the most book smart kid, I really wasn't able to get into Princeton like he had hoped. But I tried. The first moment of adversity was I went to Caldwell College, and my plan was eventually to transfer. And really, that first moment of going to school my first semester, that's when I was like, damn, this isn't for me. And I'm pro-education. But I looked at it and I was like, I feel like this is just like a huge, big business. And I'm getting into a lot of debt, and they're telling me what classes I need to take in order to get to the classes that I want. And I was like, I don't know about this. So I think if there's ever a time in my life to take a risk and learn about investing and learning about starting companies, like now's the time to be able to do it. Because shit, all my friends are partying, more than ever, still in the first semester in college than they were in high school. So it was like, I actually really wanted to start learning about, learning how to become successful. I wanted to be able to give back to my family one day. So this was a big decision for me back then. I remember back then being an entrepreneur really wasn't the cool thing. I don't even necessarily, didn't even know the word. I didn't consider myself dropping out and trying to become an entrepreneur. It was like, I just want to learn how to become a businessman. I want to learn how to invest. And, everybody doubted me. My family was disappointed. All my friends were going to school and disappointed. Everybody was like, there you go, Gerard, he's going to end up becoming a failure. And I had to go against the grain. So I dropped out, and I knew that I was in control of my own destiny. I knew at that point, everything that I did that point forward, it was up to me. It was up to me to be a leader. And growing up, my father, that was the one thing that he instilled in me, was leadership. I remember growing up, my father would leave notes all over the place with quotes from John Adams or Roman emperors, and I never understood why he would leave all these notes with quotes from all these unbelievable leaders over history. And so I knew I had to stand up for myself. So that was the first moment of adversity, dropping out, and everybody looked at me like as a failure. The second moment of adversity was, so now I start my company, right? So I started a company because I want to learn how to invest. So I started an online forum back then called StockSpot, so I can get traders and investors to talk amongst themselves on a platform, and then I can learn from a lot of the people that were experts, and they were expert traders. And I noticed that there was a niche in the market that none of the forums that currently existed had a rating system, similar to eBay or Amazon, color-coordinated 5-star, up to 5 stars. So that's what I had built. And back then, I got up to 10,000 members, which was a lot back then, and started understanding PPC, things like that, and building out the site. And eventually, I got a call from a CEO out of New Jersey, out of Little Falls, New Jersey, and he couldn't believe what I had built at a young age, and he said, I think what you're doing is helping pioneer investor relations, helping companies learn how to get exposure through a digital media. So why don't you come and I'm gonna mentor you. I'm gonna teach you about investor relations while you build your site. And I was like, yes, this is it. I'm going to prove to my parents I'm going to become a director of investor relations for this company. I'm building my site. Things are going well. And this led me to my first big failure. So what happened was I started doing all the marketing for this company over during the year. Got them written up in Wired magazine, did videos for them, built out their site, helped them build the largest shareholder base at any small cap company at that time, 18,000 shareholders. And I called him, I said, let's do the first ever live demonstration of your product. And what the company was a nanotechnology company reinventing the battery. And what he essentially had was a partnership with Lucent Bell Labs where they created a patented wafer structure that separated the electrodes from the electrolytes in a battery. So what he had was essentially an infinite shelf life battery known as the nano battery. So there was a lot of hype around the nano battery. I'm promoting the company. Everybody's paying attention. We do this demonstration. I get investors in the room, the media in the room. After this demonstration, they're getting ready to raise millions of dollars to take this nano battery into mass production. Well, I get up there. I'm young. I have no facial hair. I look like a little kid. I'm nervous, you know. Say my speech on why I believed in the company, introduce the chief scientist officer. He comes up. He goes to unveil the battery. When he unveils the battery, it shows on 2 screens that no energy was being used. And when he turned on this device, boom, energy is being used, proving the concept of the nano battery. And that was the point of the demonstration. Well, when he hits this button, what do you think happens? Crickets. It doesn't work. And all my hard work went to shit. And I was like devastated. I thought my career was over. But what happened was interesting. A couple people came up to me and said, hey, kid, here's my card. I'm surprised you got me in the room. And I went back home, my parents' basement, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to let this stop me. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to keep pushing forward. And if I have a passion for helping small companies and marketing and content, I'm going to continue. So I started an agency. Start my agency, and I started helping market a lot of small companies and built that to about 10 million in revenue by the time I was 24. Things are going great. I'm making all this money. I feel on top of the world, you know, and at the end of the day, I'm feeling great. But then what happens next was devastating. The crash happens of 2008 to 2010. As many of us millennials know, that helped shape all of us. That changed all of our mentalities. Everything we've been told, it was pretty much a lie. My father got laid off. All my friends that are now graduating college, they can't get a job. They're calling me for a job. And at the same time, since my business was built around marketing small cap companies, none of them wanted to spend money right now because the crash is happening. So I'm like, wow. And I was also an investor, so I was making investments in the millions of dollars that I had saved up. Guess what? I had lost it, almost all of it, on trades because of the market crash. So I'm like, wow, what am I going to do? So what happened was interesting. As any entrepreneur knows, you got to learn how to pivot. You got to learn how to bounce back from failure. Can't let anything happen. My mother told me, well, I owe it to them, that when she was growing up, that she lived in a little studio apartment with her 5 brothers and sisters, and the apartment ended up catching on fire. They lost everything. And she always told me, if I was able to lose the shirt off my back from a fire, then you should, no matter what, you continue to push forward. You can bounce back no matter what in life. So I had somebody working with me, interning with me at the time. His name was David. He had come up with an idea. We started looking at the millennial landscape of media. And we're like, wow, there's a lot of millennial sites out there, but they're very niche-based. They're very much gossip or, you know, college or entertainment, but there was not like the one-stop shop Huffington Post of Generation Y. So we're like, let's build that. So we got another partner of ours, Jonathan, and us 3, we got some folding chairs. We were in my apartment, and we just started. We went at it. We just took action. We knew we had to figure it out all on our own. We started interviewing each other. We started writing. We just started building a site on WordPress. We started figuring out Facebook marketing, how we were going to get our audience, our target audience, to engage, to share, all of these things. But what happened was, because we had opened up our platform for millennials, and we figured out that and got our users to engage with our content was being very authentic and very raw, a lot of the media industry was like, this isn't real journalism. Elite Daily ain't shit. It's fake. The traffic ain't real. We started getting judged. People started writing negative articles on it, all types of stuff. And we were hustling. Like, we had to build such a strong culture with our team because we couldn't really afford to pay everybody what they wanted to be paid. Like, we had people to believe in what we stood for. Forget about the content. Forget about the site. Like, the why. Like, why is Elite Daily important? It stood for something. It stood for something for our generation at that time. And that's how we built a culture, and that's how we ended up building this company. And I owe it all to the team. Like, I owe it completely to the Elite Daily team that was day in and day out believing in it. But we had to fight through that adversity of, people didn't believe in Elite Daily. Luckily, we had to fight through being told no a lot of doubters. And eventually, we ended up finally getting backed by Graycroft, a VC, that really believed in us, and that helped us get the notoriety. And we kept pushing forward, even though there was moments where we didn't know if we were going to make payroll. And now to fast forward a little bit, last year, we get John Steinberg as our advisor. We helped position the company knowing that hopefully one day we'd get an acquisition, but little did we know that after a few months, that Daily Mail would recognize the value of what we created, and they made an offer. Everything, my whole life stopped. Me and my co-founders, everything stopped at that moment. And we had to make a decision. Is it the right time to exit? Is it not the right time to exit? Everything we worked for, is this it? And we believed that the Daily Mail was giving us the infrastructure to support the 65 people at that time that believed in us day in and day out and give them that security. And it would allow us to make Elite Daily bigger than any one of us. So we did the deal. And that day changed my life. I finally was able to pay off my parents' mortgage. I was take care of my sisters, take care of my family, take care of the people that supported me my whole life. I finally, for the first time in my life, took a step back and thought about how blessed I really am. And what this all meant. Why did God give me this opportunity? Like, what does it mean? And I started thinking about legacy. I started thinking about my why. All of us as a generation, we want to build so much. We have so many ideas. We have so many ideas. We have so much ambition in the world. But to foster that and to understand, like your why, not what you're doing or how you're doing it, but what is it? What are those core values that you stand for as an individual, that your company stands for? Because that's what people are going to remember. That's what's going to get people to engage. So I started thinking about all of this, and then I got invited, luckily, to a Tony Robbins event. I sat front row. Someone gave me the tickets. I think they were worth like $10,000. I was like, damn, this is amazing. And Tony Robbins inspired the hell out of me. He said something. He said, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And that really helped shape my life. And I look back and I said to myself, man, what I do now going forward matters. All the money doesn't mean anything, or the success, notoriety, nothing matters. But what I'm doing now to leverage that to help be a leader, myself to help lead a generation, to help lead everybody, to find their purpose, to push forward, is what really, truly matters. So I started figuring out what are we going to do next? And something happened which is really interesting. One of my buddies, I called one of my buddies, Pedro Gomes, because I owned a house in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. And I found out that I had an easement under this house. And he's a developer. He started from the bottom and we were flipping homes in Newark. And I called him because he was the only person I knew that would be able to help me figure out what to do with this house. So he's like, I'm going to help you with this house, G, but I need your help too. I have a plot of land in Newark, New Jersey, and I'm seeing how Newark is starting to change. I'm seeing how University Heights is starting to change. And there's an opportunity here, and I think that we should build something for this community. And I was like, again, God, like, you got to be kidding me. And I said, this is another blessing. Things are manifesting. When you put good energy into the world and you push forward no matter what, day in and day out with that kind of commitment, like I guarantee you things will manifest, opportunities will manifest. So what did we do? We ended up building a nonprofit incubator in Newark. And that became my purpose. That became part of my legacy where I want to be able to get into the hood in Newark, University Heights. I'm pulling, help get the youth, the kids there that need to learn about entrepreneurship and how that will help shape their life. Whether or not they'll start a company or not, but the mindset of an entrepreneur, because that is what differentiates you. It's about the mindset more than anything. So I'm probably running out of time, but we are really excited. We just launched last month. If any of you out there are an early stage entrepreneur or a mentor or a founder, and you want to give back or you want to be a part of what's happening in Newark, you just heard it from Don with Audible. It's happening in Newark. And these kids and a lot of the students and a lot of these young entrepreneurs, you don't have to necessarily always go to New York or Silicon Valley. It's happening in places like Newark. And Newark is an amazing city. We're launching a startup pitch competition on July 7th. So if you have a company, a startup, an idea, you should probably apply at founders.live. We're going to be a $10,000 grand prize, as well as we're going to pick 5 startups that will have the space for free in our incubator. There'll be a 12-week accelerator program as well. and we're excited to be working with the community, Propeller, Nork Venture Partners. You can check us out at founders.com, and the competition is at founders.live, and Founders is spelt with the word own in the middle, F-O-W-N-D-E-R-S. And I'll leave it with, again, my whole motto is leaders create leaders. If you don't know, I do a series every Tuesday showcasing modern-day leaders. Find the leader in yourself. Really find your why in life. Focus on that and commit to that no matter what it is you do. I appreciate it. Thank you again, Aaron and Propeller. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Enjoy the weekend.